Portable TV. Come watch with me. And today is International Women's Day, and the UN has issued a report highlighting women as bearing the brunt of the coronavirus pandemic. From more and more women being pushed into poverty to being the bulk of the medical frontline workers, women have shouldered the fallout from this pandemic. Secretary General of the UN, Antonio Guterres, tweeted this, quote, "Even as women have played critical roles during COVID-19, we have seen a rollback in hard-won advances in women's rights." The UN chief says stimulus packages must target women and girls specifically as the U.S. Congress moves on a new relief package here stateside. So for more on these women's issues faced during the pandemic, we'll talk to attorney and founder of the Blush Project, an advocacy group for women in the workplace. Reese Everson is joining the conversation. Hi, Reese. Good to see you. It has been a long time.
Hi, Manila. Happy International Women's Day.
That's right. Same to you. So when the pandemic first set in here stateside, more women lost their jobs than did men. Nearly 12 million women to the 9 million men from February to May of 2020. That's according to Pew Research. Why do you think there is such a disparity?
Well, we have to keep in mind that of the 65 million or so women that are in the workforce, the concentration of those women are in 3 industries, meaning those 3 industries employ over 53% of females or women in the workplace. And so those 3 industries are education and health services, trade, transportation, utilities, and local government. So what you have are women who work predominantly in industries like, college, higher education, universities, middle schools, high schools, hotels, indoor dining, as we just said in the last segment, that was closed down, and in-person customer service. And so, working at Macy's and, stores and things of that matter. And so when these stores closed and these businesses had to shutter down and not bring customers in, whether it was the hotels, the restaurants, women lost their jobs.
Yeah. And traditionally, it is women who are the family caretakers. So when schools are shut down, it's mom who has to pick up the role of educator on this online format. And for those fortunate enough to keep their jobs, they're struggling to juggle both of this from home. For the women who have kept their jobs, Reese, is enough being done or even being considered by Congress?
Absolutely not. And here's the issue. There's no one who can be in 2 places at one time, and there's no way that a woman can successfully deal with a 5 or 6-year-old who's doing online learning for middle school and effectively work a full-time job that requires all of her mental faculties. And so what we need are solutions. We need reinvented solutions that address the financial burden that women have with children, and maybe provide things like unemployment for mothers of small children or who work online or are frontline workers, and they don't have other resources, family members and things of that nature, because keep in mind, women are often caretakers of elderly family members, and so then they also don't want their children going into a daycare situation because they could bring something back to the home. So there's so many things that need to be calculated for, and we have got to come up with new solutions.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of that has not really been examined. Like you said, the elderly caretakers, that is a big one, especially during this pandemic. Now, because of this pandemic, there's also an alarming spike in domestic violence cases being reported. Women are primarily the victims. Do you think this speaks more broadly to the importance of mental health in such a critical time and the necessity for more resources?
Absolutely. And so here's the thing. In imagining and in saying that our task is to come up with new solutions, we have to literally think as far outside the box as possible. And so with mental health issues, or even women who are looking to report the issues that they're suffering at the hands of a loved one in their home, and if you've ever been to the doctor before and your doctor said to you, "Do you feel safe?" Well, typically that's something that only a doctor would ask, but we may be in a place in time where more than the doctor is asking, "Are you safe?" There was actually a recent invention by a young lady named Christina Pasco, and she created an online shopping store which allows women to come in and secretly report domestic violence. And it, on its face, it looks like just a website for shopping. And so we've got to come up with solutions from the top down, but the community as well, to basically be a groundswell of support for women in these circumstances.
Wow, that is certainly innovative. So that way the women that log on, it looks like they're going to a shopping website. That is fascinating. Brilliant.
Yes.
And lastly, according
Target may have to get involved, you know, when
Yeah.
you're shopping for your groceries, and the grocery
Yes.
store may say, do you feel safe when we come to deliver? Do you feel safe?
That is really thinking outside of the box for sure. And lastly, Reese, according to the UN report, this pandemic has set the women's movement back several decades, whether it's income inequality or just how women are viewed in society. What can be done to speed up the recovery effort to get women back to where we need to be on this professional front?
You know, this is going to be a very interesting and long road, because what this has revealed is just how tight of a tightrope most women have to walk on in order to keep their lives and their children's lives thriving and in balance. And with women being the bedrock of society and everything of the foundation of all of our communities being built on the backs of women, when women are not supported, the whole apple cart tumbles. And what we're going to learn is that women are burning out at a rate that's just, you know, really ridiculous. And children are trying their best, but women are at their wits' ends with children in online learning in educational systems, and losing their jobs. And so we will have to come up with economic solutions, perhaps for women who can't afford private childcare, so that they're COVID free. But we've got to come up with solutions for supporting women economically. And that's going to call for whether it's not just tax incentives, but actual money in their pockets. And if we're fighting to get $600 to people after, you know, or $1,200 to people after 12 months, we're not doing our due diligence. We're going to have to make sure that these women have the resources and support that they need to stay afloat, or we're going to fail our whole society completely.
Yeah, women need to take an active role and demand what they need from this Congress. Thank you so much for joining us. Always good to see you. Reese Everson of the Blush Project Foundation. Good to have you.
Thank you.